can't wait to get our new mics. We didn't buy them yet.
No.
But we will.
But soon.
Very soon. We're moving.
Yes, we are.
September 8th, we're moving.
Finally, baby.
We're filming this today, August 24, and September 8th, we're moving.
Yes.
Finally in a townhouse. I know it's not huge, but it's more space than a condo.
We got 3 levels.
Yeah.
Gym downstairs. We're going to have the podcast room as soon as it's set up.
Yeah.
But we might have to skip one recording, actually, because we're moving, so...
Yeah, it's going to be a hectic week.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And it's after a wedding. So many weddings this season.
So many weddings.
Why is everybody getting married? Please.
Why do you guys get married?
You know, I'm really curious if the younger generation, like our kids, will be completely like if the whole concept of wedding, which is a scam, by the way, they'll be over it. Is the wedding industry a scam?
That's a whole topic
on its own.
Yeah, for another episode, but not today.
To say.
Not today.
If you guys have questions about that, or if you have comments, please let us know. Please send them our way. You can do it. How can they send us questions?
They can send us questions on our website on riseprojects.com/heartheaded.
Yes, that's RYZE project. Or you go on Instagram, link in bio, and you'll see everything else there.
DM us. DM us on Just Margarita or Heartheaded Podcast. Yeah.
And with that said...
Welcome, everyone, on the 6th episode of the Heartheaded Podcast.
Already 6 episodes. Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Really?
How you guys liking it so far?
I really hope you like it. Send us your stories and your thoughts and your questions. Send us everything so we can talk about it.
And we have actually a few questions today. Some juicy stuff.
We have 3 actually that we're gonna cover and talk about today. So fun stuff. But before we start,
welcome to the Heartheaded Podcast.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I just took a nap. I was feeling tired and lazy.
Yeah, so that means, guys, Mark takes a nap. That means he's good. He's rejuvenated. If you didn't take a nap, it's hell.
Look, it's not hell. Mm-hmm. It's just some kind of hell. It's not hell, really. It's just, you know what I'm saying. Look.
It's my hell.
Because we decided to game late last night.
I decided.
Yes. And I was like, hey, why not? So we woke up late.
Yeah. Did you complain? No. It was fun, right?
It was fun.
Okay.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling weddingy. Because of all the weddings that we had.
We had
like 2 of my best friends had to get married.
Yeah.
The same month, almost. Not the same month exactly, but actually, nah, it's not that bad. Because she didn't do a big wedding. Haram, I'm not going to say it's a lot. She didn't even do a lot because she wanted to avoid all of that.
Haram, by the way, guys.
Haram means it means a lot of things, but the context I used it in is to say, I mean, come on, I can't translate it. I can't translate it.
Okay, let me the language teacher.
Yes.
So by default, haram means something forbidden. So you say it if someone's doing something that's considered immoral, right? Haram, that's haram. Don't do that, right?
Yeah.
Religiously, also in Islam, haram is something forbidden, right?
Yeah.
But it's become used to say oh, come on, pour them, oh, come give him a break, haram.
Yeah, exactly.
Haram.
It was not in her intention, you know?
Yeah. Or it's not that bad. It's usually has that kind of vibe. So.
Yeah. The other best friend, however, should feel haram. No, I'm kidding. Wow. I love you. I'm so excited for her wedding.
Yes. And I am a groomsman.
And you're a groomsman in that one. A groomsman and I'm a bridesmaid. Okay, we love you. We're so excited. I'm so kidding. Okay. I really hope she doesn't feel bad after this.
She's currently listening what an asshole.
I'm hereby revoke you as bridesmaid and revoke you as groomsman.
So all this to say that you're feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling good.
How have you felt this week? We had some really interesting day. Was it 2 days ago?
That photo shoot?
Oh, yeah. We had a photo shoot. That was really funny. I wish we had the capacity and energy at the time to record or take pictures behind the scenes.
No, we didn't have the capacity because mosquitoes controlled the whole thing for us that day.
Yes.
I'm not even exaggerating. I counted how many mosquito bites I have. 16.
Yes. So it was not a photo shoot inside. It wasn't a studio. It was in a beautiful location though, which I happen to love. By the beach and stuff. No, it's not beach as in like Miami Beach or it's
No,
it's
like
it's
Cap
a
Saint
lake.
Jacques Beach in
Hey, it's still nice.
Montreal.
Okay?
Yeah, it's
yes,
still
Cap
nice.
Saint Jacques. It's gorgeous.
It's a lake.
But we were almost gonna have to walk like 30 minutes, according to the photographer, through a mosquito infested trail.
Yeah.
But yours truly here knew a shortcut. So
Thank God.
yes, which she didn't know about.
Because I would have died.
Anyway, highlight for this was our argument before because we were overwhelmed and we're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
And it was a romantic photo shoot.
Yes.
We were going to it.
Classic, straight out of a comedy movie.
Annoyed out of each other.
And the second highlight would be the spectators because we weren't alone at the beach and people got really invested.
Okay, so let me just tell you something about myself. I hate public display of affection. I've always hated PDA, and I'm not comfortable kissing or being lovey-dovey. It depends to some extent. I could, but if it's a lot of PDA in public, I'm not comfortable doing it, especially if people are watching. So this photo shoot was really out of my comfort zone because we were doing a lot of romantic, touchy, feely positions, which we don't usually do. It's the first time we ever do it. And this time it was an audience, and not just adults, kids.
I remember the kid was like, ew. They're like really curious and looking.
Yeah,
and
they're
then
all
when we
curious
kiss,
and
like,
looking.
ew. Children, wait until puberty hits.
So yeah, it was really, really, it was a fun experience. But
yeah, it was kind of out of my, when it has to do with like, if it's for a shoot or whatever, I'm comfortable generally, but it was still to a certain extent out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
The whole experience together. It was almost like our wedding day again. And some guy was like, congratulations. I'm like, it's been a while actually. But it was fun. We'll share the picture soon.
Yeah. I think she needs like a month or something. Anyways. But why did we do a photo shoot? In case you're wondering. I don't know if you are asking, but I'm still going to say it.
No one's asking Rita. I don't know why.
It was the first time someone reached out to us, and she's a photographer in Montreal, and said, hey, I love the way you look, and I want to take a photo shoot. I want to do a photo shoot of you guys, and in the style you want, whether it's romantic style or like elegant, which is like bougie, and you have to wear a suit and stuff. And I'm like, let's do the romantic style, where that involved mosquitoes. So we just went with that. And it was a fun experience, and it was our first time because we never did it before, and that's why we kind of argued before going, because I was kind of like tired from that week because of all the events we had, and I was dreading the fact that there was like this 25-minute trail we had to walk to get to the beach. And I'm like, do we really have to go? And Mark was I was complaining a bit more than him, and so there was a certain limit that Mark couldn't handle my complaints. So we argued based on that.
But I get it too. I understand why. Like, your reasons were very valid. I think it's just we were just overwhelmed. Yeah, it was. And, some stressful week, and plus the sudden expectations. Yeah. Because it was, to be honest, photo shoots are challenging. I don't know if you guys have ever done that.
It's a lot of work.
Besides wedding, it's challenging. You got to change and everything, and especially in that context, it's a bit more, shall we say, independent. So it's like, it's not like a professional studio where you have your changing room, you can go change. It was on the spot in the car. You know what I mean?
And you bring your own clothes, and you have to think and follow. And she was also like the photographer. She was really sweet, but she was a chaotic artist. Basically, that was just all over the place. She loves what she does. She really loves what she does. It shows. Yeah, she's really good at what she does too. Can't wait for the pictures, and they're gonna be shared on social media for sure, and you'll get to see them there. Okay, so let's start. Let's get to the juice. We have our first questions and stories from our awesome listeners. We'll start with the first one. I'm gonna read them out the way they wrote them, and we'll discuss it from there. Hi, Mark and Rita. My question is, how hard is the first year of marriage? How is it like adjusting to living with each other? I recently got married and moved in a month ago. We've been doing our best to be a partnership, but sometimes we go back and forth about certain habits. I'd love to hear about your experience. Thank you too for being you. Oh, that's sweet. Cute. Okay.
You want to go?
You go.
Oh. Oh, how was the first year?
How was the first year for you, Mark?
So her question is, how hard is the first year?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think I would
How
say, because we were very already transparent with each other even before getting married and
Yeah.
moving in with each other. And I would often be told, hey, you better make sure you move in with a person because you're going to discover somebody new and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm very focused. So it's like, I know what I bring to the table. So I'm not worried about, like, I think in the relationship, you bring something. And if you're confident about what you bring, then there's no fear of, oh, what is it going to be when we move in together? It's a fear some people have and stuff.
It was
Some
a fear
people
I
need it.
had. It was a fear I
Yeah.
had before we did.
Although I think you knowing how I am, I think you felt more comfortable.
Yeah, it wasn't like that a big worry I had, but there were some challenges. Like
Of course
you said
there
it
were.
yourself
I was
once.
going to say about when we...
Well, the thing is that we didn't move in together. We did move in together right away after getting married. We didn't before.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't also move into a permanent place. We traveled.
Yes.
We started staying a month in Toronto.
Whoa. Before that, we stayed 2 days
Oh, 2 days in a treehouse.
in a treehouse.
That's true.
It was fun, but it was tiny.
And it was tiny.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh. But
was cute.
we didn't, it was cute. It was still a cute moment.
Almost honeymoonish, you know?
Yeah.
We arrived there, it was dark and
a
raining.
treehouse or anyone. That's
Yes.
funny.
No,
It
and we're
sounds
on
weird.
Halloween.
On Halloween,
Because
yeah.
our anniversary day is October 30th.
Yeah.
And so we stayed until October 31st. It was fun. Like we did some s'mores and stuff, and it was cute.
Something laid back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Mark and I love Toronto. So we said, let's
Yeah.
go live there for like a month.
Loved
See if we like it. We don't. It's a
No.
great city. No,
Yeah, I
it's
love
a
Canada.
great
I
city.
love Toronto, but I wouldn't live there. I don't
But we
see.
just-
I don't see the need to live there.
I feel like we're more Montreal people.
Yeah.
It's-
One thing, because people I know who have lived in Toronto have said that, of course, it depends on what your goals are. But they said Montreal has has more charm,
Yeah.
food wise, and also the history and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
It's not always also about business. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of cutthroat business vibes in Toronto. It's more serious, more gray.
Yeah, almost like a New York light.
Yeah, I felt like Montreal had a bit more. It's similar, but there's a bit more diversity and laid back vibes where people
Yeah.
are just more like chill. I don't know how to
Yeah,
describe
that
it. It
laid back
depends
charm.
what you prefer. Like if someone likes work a lot and they're the type to enjoy trying going out and like, for example, they're really invested in their work and they like to spend. I feel like Toronto's more of that vibe. It's more.
I guess, yeah. But
Yeah.
speaking of, it's more expensive than Montreal.
It is more expensive.
So, and
yeah.
we work online.
Gosh.
All the money we make is from multiple sources from online. So we don't need to be in a location that is more expensive.
No, yeah.
And I believe more in, because as you know, my dream has always been to build Montreal up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Bring it to
It deserves it.
because of all the potential and talent it has. So why go live somewhere more expensive and waste our money when we can live here
True.
for cheaper, you know?
Okay, we're
But-
kind of veering off here.
No, but yeah, to go back to
So-
Toronto.
So the reason why we went to Toronto, we stayed here. But the first thing that was challenging for Mark is I'm a neat freak.
I was gonna
So-
okay. You I was gonna
You-
talk about that, but you go ahead.
You mentioned, because you mentioned it last time when we talked about it. I'm a neat freak, and that was a challenge we had to endure. The first week while we were in the condo,
More
Toronto?
the first hour. I mean, when you say neat freak, not in as far as I'm concerned, not in an unreasonable way. Your reasons are logical.
Yeah, like
generally
we walked
speaking.
in a thing. Like I'm the type where I let's say I open the drawers, I make sure it's not dusty. I check the utensils if they look clean. I still rewash things even though that they've been cleaned,
Yeah,
and
sometimes
washed.
we'll put even like
Yeah,
your own layers of
Disinfect everything, doorknobs before touching them, especially the toilet bowl. Like it's something I like to do. Even in hotels when we travel, you notice I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Until we traveled for months and I stopped caring anymore.
Well, I think you kept the minimum, and I
kept the minimum.
I helped too. Like,
Yeah.
because that was a challenge for me because I was also tired, and we were learning
Yes.
what that means.
You were tired,
and I just want to crash on the bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, but we didn't. It wasn't like a fight, as in like we burst into rage. It was more like, all right, You
Do
know?
we have to do this now?
Yeah. Like,
You
and
had
I was
this
just
moment.
paused, and I was like, it's annoying, but not like a breakdown. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because I also know that you're coming in, someone is a certain way, they have their needs, so you gotta each adjust to each other. You know what I mean? So I think, would that be the hardest thing? Because I mean, in our case, yeah, we traveled too, right? So it's not like we moved in, and the traveling was
No, I
challenging.
think still today our challenges are little things that have to do with cleanliness because it's coming from me. It's something that's important for me. That's what. And I'm not gonna say it's such a huge challenge too because you really hear me out when I have like little issues or little changes, like some things I prefer you did, I communicate that with you and you hear me out, you know? You don't you don't discard it or put it aside. You remember them and actually work through them. And it's okay, sometimes you do forget a few times, but it's not intentional. And you
It's
still
kind of a
need
skill, I would say. I'm
yeah.
like, I can do the job, but I'm not as skilled uh, in, shall we say, the art of cleaning and thinking of all the details about cleaning as you are. But if you give me the instructions, then I'll do it. It's like I can clean. It's not like I can't clean.
Yeah.
I do a good job too, but you do a better job.
But
It's
I also,
more
yeah,
natural. It's more
yeah.
easy. You're quicker at also getting things.
I'm quicker at spotting things and stuff.
Yeah,
and
and
that's
putting them
yeah.
in a certain way and organizing them, which actually all translates into you being the producer of our company. You
The
know?
company,
I'm
yeah.
more the creative side, so I'm a bit more chaotic. You know.
Yeah. So in a way, like, how was it like adjusting to living with each other? I feel like it was really communicating each other's needs. So sometimes you have to communicate more than once and twice and three times, you know. So it takes years or months for some. I would say for us it took months, but it's still a process. Even today, we've been married almost 2 years. And it's still little things that we're learning from each other, but not to a point where it becomes chaotic and
Or a meltdown.
a meltdown. Yeah. So it's really something you have to communicate with your partner and understand what's important for you and what's important for them.
Yeah, I think the when you're adjusting to someone, it's completely normal. It's something I think that maybe isn't discussed enough or shared enough in movies and stuff, in that when you live alone or when you're alone, you have your things and you have your habits and stuff, and they're neither good or bad, they just are. Sometimes you might have habits that are not maybe beneficial to you, but you're kind of, it's habitual, right? You're used to it. You're used to it. When you move in with someone, they kind of bring them out, and sometimes it's beneficial to you, meaning you might have a habit that it was not benefiting you that the other person can help you with, but it takes an adjustment, which means it takes you out of your comfort zone. And when that happens, it becomes a challenge. It's a struggle. It can be a struggle, and it can cause friction, especially that it's rubbing off someone else's needs. And those things are normal. It's completely normal. I think people fear relationships because they think that they have to become someone else, when in reality, you're simply adapting
Yeah.
to someone's needs, which is normal. And then you settle into a new lifestyle. It's kind of like moving into a new house. You're adapting to change, and some people are better at change than others, and that's a skill too. I'm very adaptive, so I think that it was very I'm very much able to adjust and adapt. And I ask you a lot of questions, and I take notes. Okay, you like it that way? Okay. And if sometimes you'd go back on something else, it could be like just even the way you place cups. You know what I mean? And I'll ask you, okay, you want it like that so that it matches the other cups? I get that. You know, it's a small detail. To someone else, it might be ridiculous.
Yes, I'm that ridiculous.
But if I, excuse me, if I saw that you placed the cups in a different way, then I'm gonna call you out on it.
Yeah.
Not in a mean way. I'll be like, wait, you told me you wanted that way, right? And that happened once, because I'm like, if I don't care, but if you care, and then you have to be consistent with your own thing. And it's not like you did it on purpose. It can happen to me too, but you know, this is where we hold each other accountable. I think part of the needs is also holding each other accountable for whatever you claim you want and whatever you communicate.
Yeah.
You know? So, but I wouldn't say it was hard in the sense where it was nothing unbearable, I would say. the traveling, I think,
No.
in itself was a challenge because we were navigating that plus managing our business.
Yeah, I feel like the traveling part that we did is harder than just living together.
Yeah. When we came back,
Yeah.
because we would have breaks between the travels, it was like,
Yeah, totally. So for us, like settling down in one space was very easy compared to what we were doing before. So in a way, you can say, how did we handle traveling while being together 24/7?
That itself in a relationship is its own challenge. When you're in a
Yeah.
relationship and you have to travel, then each person's habits or needs really come in. Like example, you like to be organized and structured in a certain way ahead of time, where I can be a little bit more last minute, but not like extreme. And the way, when we're in hotels, how we juggle the luggage, how we, all the
Yeah.
little details
Yeah.
of, traveling. That itself, I think, is a challenge because your needs can become more intensified while you're
Yeah.
traveling, especially if you're tired.
Yeah. It's not just, there's going to be a lot of back and forth. I hate
Back and
the plural words of words that finish with TH.
Backs and
I can't,
forths?
like back,
Back
and
and
forths.
forths?
Anyway. Okay.
Yes.
There's
Back
going
and
to be a lot
forths.
of those. And it's totally normal because there's always going to be habits that the other's not going to be used to, especially it's the first year of moving in together. You're not going to be used to a lot of things that it's like a new person you're living with, even though you know them. It's still a new way of living because, like you said, you have to adapt to one another. But it's okay if you go back on certain things because those are opportunities and things you learn from of your partner, and you make sure not to repeat it next time because it's something, it's just like a learning curve. Like, okay, how do I start living with this or that to make sure everyone in this household is happy, So challenges are bound to happen regardless. Even if you try to make everything perfect, you shouldn't. You have to be yourself, and you're going to have things that you're going to learn from your partner, and your partner will learn from you.
And
It's inevitable.
I think sometimes you have to ask yourself too is it's not to be afraid of what you might consider fights. So do you ask yourself, are we having lots of fights? Are we struggling? Is it supposed to be like this?
Or is it repeated? Is
yeah,
it always the same issue that's repeated? Because then
Yeah.
if that's the case, then there's definitely maybe a lack of communication somewhere, or someone is in the relationship is maybe not hearing you out. So that's
Yes.
another issue.
Maybe I would say lack not just of communication, but lack of vulnerability. Being able, because that's one big adjustment you're making when you move in together. You're even more vulnerable. Already being in a relationship, you have to take that brave step in opening your heart and being vulnerable. But when you move in together, it's another step because now it's details about how you are that are revealed, right? So if an issue is repeating, it's repeating for a reason because life doesn't like to be blocked. Like progress wants to, it's like movement forward, forward, movement forward. Well, that was a immigrant moment. It's a movement forward, which means that if an issue keeps coming back, it needs to be resolved. So if you're struggling on a certain issue a lot, it needs to sit down sometimes.
Yeah.
You could be like, okay. And the person has to be willing. It's something I learned actually from the Man Enough podcast, or the book, actually. Highly recommended. It's getting comfortable in the uncomfortable. It's not easy doing those things. It's not easy asking a lot of questions and then having to open yourself up to all these questions. It's uncomfortable. But when you get comfortable in doing that, you become very good at observing your own thoughts and your own habits and stuff like that and sharing it. And the sooner you do it and the more you do it, the easier it is and the more natural it is. And that spills over every aspect of your relationship, right down to your children. Why are we doing a lot of self-work besides just you and I in our marriage? Is because the more self-aware you are, the better you can be a parent, because your own issues will spill over onto your children if you're not ready for it. This I learned also from being a coach, a kids coach for a long time. It's a lot of work on yourself because
Yeah.
you're responsible for a lot of kids. So all that to say, your first year is probably the hardest, I would say, in terms of the vulnerability, the communication in terms of asking a lot of questions, and the adaptability. You have to really adapt, and you have to make sure you do as much adapting to the other and listening to them as they are to you. If it's one-sided, that becomes a heavy burden. If the person isn't willing to do that with you, that's going to cause a rift, I would
Yeah.
think. And sometimes the person might resist doing it because it's fear. And I'm speaking for men here who are maybe more afraid to be vulnerable, afraid of revealing what they think is weakness. So, and then misinterpreting their wife or girlfriend's questions as attacking their masculinity.
Yeah.
So it becomes fear, and then they kind of close off and like storm off, for example, or they start thinking, are you accusing me of things, or blah, 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 or are you just complaining and complaining? You know, the traditional assumption that women complain all the time and nag because the man isn't listening, vice versa. So do a lot of open-hearted questions, not open-minded, open-hearted questions.
Be hard-headed.
Exactly.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
And trust me, it's worth it. Once you go through that vulnerability and open yourself up, and even though it's hard and there could be a lot of crying, there could be a lot of screaming, well, hopefully not screaming. We've never had screaming, but that hard work is so worth it, because I did not expect to have a marriage this smooth in my life with you.
Bless. Knock on wood.
Yeah. Like this, for me, our marriage is smooth sailing because of those talks we have, you know? So,
And it's not because it's magically like that. Okay, there's definitely a compatibility. You have to be compatible with the person, but it's not like it's just on its own. You don't do the work. You don't go to the gym and machines move themselves. You know what I mean? But concerning that first year, or whether it's the first year or 10 years, it's
always the same.
yes. And ask yourself, why are you married? Why are you in that relationship? What is its value? That question and the answer you get from it will let you know what kind of work you need to bring in.
Yeah.
Do you care about this relationship?
Yeah.
Not a lot of people go into a relationship with a sense of purpose. They just, you meet somebody, and it's natural, right? You meet somebody, you start dating, you're attracted to each other, you kiss, you love, you have sex, you move into each other, and then it becomes the whole pattern. Then you get kids. It's like this kind of monotone template.
Yeah.
Then your issues come up, you fight, you resolve some of them, you grow a little or you don't grow, and it's kind of like, so I feel it's important to be very conscious in everything you do, but in relation to marriage, is what is your reason? Like, why am I with you?
Why are you with me?
I have no idea.
But yeah, no, definitely.
That
Everything you said.
answer, that it's not like it's something you can answer in one sentence. It doesn't need to be answered in I'm with you because of this one single thing. It's because for myself, it's because we're building a dream together. You reflect something amazing, and we grow together. I think that's the simplest way I could put it. But I care about you so much that it matters to me that every day I work to nurture this relationship. You know what I'm saying? Are we
I'm
going to cry now?
speechless. Yeah, I'm speechless.
But yeah, so...
Yeah.
And I'm saying this, very passionately, because someone could easily tell you, wait until it's been 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then
someone told you, wait until you're married.
No, at first it was wait until you move in together. Then it's wait until you're married. And then it's going to be wait until you have kids.
Blah, blah,
then it's
blah.
going to be wait until it's been 10 years.
Blah, blah, blah.
Wait until it's been 20 years. It's like, okay, wait until what? Like,
that's just like society, the expected societal comments
Norms
and norms. And it's just all bullshit, to be honest. Like, I love following accounts. Like, people, for example, say you can't travel with kids, but I'm following these accounts now where parents who've traveled their whole life and have been traveling with their kids, and they're like, who said you can't travel with your kids? And now our travel is so much better with our kid, thanks to our kid. And don't listen to people.
The thing
That's it.
is sometimes what is trying to be wisdom and advice is just ultimately someone's experience.
Yeah.
So always take it with a grain of salt. Somebody's sharing with you their experience.
Yeah.
Don't assume that their experience
Is yours.
is, the standard
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
And if a lot of people are sharing the same kind of advice that seems weird to you, also ask yourself, society can be dysfunctional. A lot of people can fall in the same kind of pattern and repeat the same shit, and it doesn't resonate with you. So create your own reality. This is your life. You're not bound by someone else's life.
Yeah. How do you want your marriage to be?
Exactly. This is the question.
Yeah. Now, speaking of questions, let's move on to the second one. It's a long one, so
Let's do it.
yeah. I'm dating a Syrian from a Muslim family. He came here as a refugee and has been here for 6 years. I am British and not super religious. I'm also bisexual, and navigating that with him and how we can go forward is really tricky, especially when it comes to our future kids and what we should and shouldn't tell his family. I love Arab and Syrian culture. I speak Arabic and lived in Egypt for 6 years, but the wide lack of acceptance of LGBT plus is really tricky. I respect all views as long as there's no harm, and I understand from a religious point of view it's a tricky one. He accepts me for being bisexual and is not judgmental at all, but has a different opinion about sexuality. I truly want him to be my life partner. Any advice?
Okay. So from this, they're dating, they're in a relationship.
Dating a Syrian from a Muslim family. So
Who seem to be pretty conservative. It sounds like they haven't brought that up.
it seems like the family is pretty conservative. I
Yes,
don't know
he's pretty
about
open about that.
him.
I wonder what she means by he has a different view of sexuality.
I'm not sure what that means exactly. What's the different opinion? It's not
Okay.
specific, but all that matters
Yeah.
from all of this, from what I understand, all that matters is you and him.
Yes.
That's it.
Took the word right out of my mouth.
The family should not be involved. I know a lot of people say you marry into the family, so be careful because they tend to be like the family. Sure, there is some truth to some extent, but how is he with his family? Does he understand or agree with his family in this point of view? Because if that's the case, there's a big chance that it will get in the way of your relationship. If he's accepting of you and everything you are and what you believe, then there's no issue. There shouldn't be any issue. And there shouldn't be anyone getting involved, especially family. It really depends on how he handles this whole thing. Yeah, how he handles it, what he thinks about you, how he answers it. If you were to ask him, how would he answer you? That's going to tell you a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's true that traditionally Arab families or Arabs are very close to their families. So of course, I can safely assume that his family is important to him, right? He is very accepting of you, right? So that's priority. Now, the way he navigates or deals with his family is the way it's going to affect your relationship. So if his family influences his
beliefs.
or his views in general, or his behavior even, in the way, let's pretend that they're conservative and they don't like the idea and they try to influence in a way, and that gets in the way of your relationship, then that's the big challenge.
That's the biggest red flag also.
Especially if he allows it, you know what I mean? If they are a certain way but he isn't, that means that you together navigate a conservative family. It happens whenever you marry with someone, you navigate the person's baggage, and sometimes the baggage is the family, right? So the challenge might be sometimes not to let that family or whoever's on the outside get in the way of what's on the inside, especially since he's very accepting of it. Now, what he feels about what sexuality is in general, I'm not sure what that means. I think ultimately does it matter if you're bisexual?
I was going to say...
Because if you're bisexual, unless this is an open relationship, which doesn't sound like it from here, but I don't know.
I don't think it is. No, that's not
because
specified.
It seems to be really between them. If it's not an open relationship and just purely monogamous, and it doesn't matter if you're bisexual because it's you and him now, right? So it's to me it's irrelevant. It's but you're bisexual, cool. That's the end of it. It
How are you
doesn't
gonna-
matter.
yeah.
Whether you're a parent or whether you're with that person, you know.
It's exactly. I'm heterosexual and you are. So
Yeah.
how would that affect our relationship? It
That's
shouldn't. We're in a monogamous relationship. So what's your sexual orientation have to do with your
That's
relationship?
it. So ultimately, even though that is part of your identity, since this is monogamous, it's nobody's business.
Exactly.
Meaning, as far as I'm concerned, it's not the family's business.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's between you and him, and you're monogamous. So he accepts your identity because this is part of your identity, and the rest is a golden path. If
Exactly.
anybody gets in the way of that golden path, fucking kick them. Don't let anybody get in your way. All right? Not even
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
I'm not saying to be nasty, just joking here, but at the same time, I'm not. Meaning, like, what I'm trying to say is, if people get in your way, recognize that. And it's
Yeah.
hardest when it's family, because it's people you love and who are close, but they can get in your way without
Yeah.
even realizing it. So you
Yeah.
got to set your boundaries clear. You start diplomatically, then you can toughen the energy if needed, right?
Yeah.
You know, while maintaining certain class, obviously. But with regards to that, for me, it's kind of a so what? You're bisexual.
Yeah.
So what?
So there's also maybe the part, because they mentioned kids, right? Kids in the future. Like
Still.
maybe there's this worry that, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe there's this worry that the partner is worried that this sexual or her sexual orientation might affect the kids.
Like they'll be gay or
Like
bisexual?
they'll be gay or bisexual. Yeah. And he's conflicted with that. But that's not how it works.
Yeah, well, look,
It's-
that doesn't seem like he just seems to have a different view about sexuality in
Maybe.
general, which I'm really curious about what that means. Maybe I'm assuming here, maybe he thinks is it something you become or something you're born with, but
We
I
don't
don't
know.
know. Yeah,
We don't know. But I feel like it's really just a matter of sitting down with your partner and communicating
yes,
all of that in detail. Like, really, how do you feel about this? And where do you see yourselves in 10 years or after marriage? Where does, how, like, do you have the same perspective? That's a big talk that you need to have with your partner. Because
Yes.
from what I understand here is you're not too sure how he's going to handle all of this with his family and your relationship together. You know?
yeah. I think you can look at the future and you can also look right now. Define your relationship now, not what it can be either. Yes, there's an ambitious part of your relationship, like you and I have dreams together. We see each other together doing something in 5-10 years, and including
Yeah.
kids and so on. So there's definitely planning. But today, define your relationship now, as you are now, right? This is your identity. He accepts it. Okay. What are the obstacles? Potentially family values are potential obstacles. Okay. Sit down and define that together. How are we going to manage that? Is it worth managing?
Yeah.
Because there is always a challenge in every kind of relationship, especially when it's on the outside. So determine what that means to you. And honestly, I feel like it's part of your life journey that this is supposed to be. Everybody is supposed to be challenged in order to grow.
Yeah.
Maybe you are challenging him and his family to grow, because love is about stepping outside your existing preconditioned beliefs, so you become accepting of something that is outside of you. True love, I'm talking beyond romantic love, because the love you have in a relationship isn't just sexual. There's something transcendent that is very much touching on, the old unconditional love idea. So if the person really loves you, that means that acceptance has to be part of it.
Yeah.
You don't love someone unless you accept them as they are.
Yeah.
If he accepts you as you are, then that's your answer about whether he loves you or not. If you can accept his family as they are, you don't have to convince anyone of anything. If they can accept you and you can accept them, maybe that's the big life journey there.
Yeah.
And in any relationship, there's going to be something. If it's not religion, it's going to be some other thing like ethnicity or skin color, or it's going to be your height. It's going to be your weight, and it's going to be your job. And it's always something that about you that's going to piss somebody off.
We've
So
seen it.
Yeah, so please start by accepting yourself,
Yeah.
which I know you are from that comment, and he is. And whoever doesn't, don't force them. But if they're gonna get in your way, then
If they're gonna get in your way, also mentally, like don't. You need to understand that some people have beliefs that are it's so closed-minded that there's nothing you'll say or do that'll change their mind. But be accepting of it. Just accept that that's a limit they have, and as long as it doesn't interfere with you and your partner, it doesn't matter. It's not important. It's outside. It's an external issue that's stays external.
but it is true that in the Middle East, LGBT plus rights are far from where they can be,
Yeah.
like in Canada, for
Yeah.
example. So you are navigating something that has like
Yeah.
is deeply rooted as well.
Yeah.
Although there is a big community in countries like Egypt and Lebanon, for example, where they are pushing
Of course.
for.
You know, sorry to cut you. Another thing I noticed, because he came here as a refugee, so I feel like being someone from a foreign country that's not used to topics you don't often see in the Middle East. I know they are pushing with that, like especially in countries in the Middle East countries, but it's more hidden, unfortunately,
Yeah, very
and
underground.
it's very underground and very much threatened as well. So I feel like being a refugee coming from a country that is not used to seeing people so open with their sexual orientation is a bit foreign to them. So very foreign to them. So for them to handle, he can love you, but he might need a bit more learning.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really just a learning curve because they're not used to it.
Again, yeah, with the
So
learning curve,
it's
like
not
you
that
said.
they're not accepting, they just need a bit more information. How does this work? Does this affect us? Wait, so if you're bisexual, does that mean I have to worry extra? Or you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
it's really more, it's more of a learning curve more than anything, because I feel like it's something they're not used to. So you have to teach it to them.
But it sounds
in
like
some
they're
way.
doing a good job there. They're both
Yeah, of
coming from two
course,
different
of course.
worlds, and I think it's great. You're coming from two very different worlds, and
Yeah.
you're really adapting. Imagine the first year of being together. There's a lot of learning and maybe some friction, but a lot of learning. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah,
It's really two worlds colliding, but eventually merging.
yeah.
So more power to you.
Yes. And our last question of today,
The last of the questions.
the last question. This one was a DM actually. So I'm going to read it out here. I'm in a relationship with my Lebanese girlfriend. It's been 2 years, but she's living in Lebanon. I don't know if you ever lived your relationship with a long distance phase. If you did, I'd like to know how you deal with communications regarding the situation. So we haven't had a long distance phase at all. I think the biggest thing for us is because of coming from a Middle Eastern background, there was the whole, you better not live with your partner before getting married. So I think the biggest long distance for us was, I think, not seeing each other for a month or something.
Generally, yeah, and you was a point where you were studying, so we weren't seeing each other
I wouldn't
often,
see
and
you a
had
lot.
to leave early and stuff like that. So it was a different kind of navigation.
A month was our maximum that we we
Yeah.
went from not seeing each other.
Yeah.
And because we didn't live in the same household, we saw each other once a week. That was like the rhythm, once per week. Unless we had other events too, so we'd see each other twice,
Yeah.
but that would be the maximum.
And we were 40 minutes
40 minutes
from
away
each other. So,
from each other. Yeah.
But this is in Montreal. This is a lot, but like
Yeah.
in Toronto or New York, it's like it's
Yeah.
nothing. 40 minutes
Yeah.
of drive.
So if you've been together for 2 years and still long distance, that's amazing. That's actually great. Some people couldn't even survive long distance relationships in 1 month or two. And I know a lot of couples who have been in long distance relationships from different, from one in Canada, one in the States, for example, and wouldn't see each other for, I think, months, or once every month they would see each other, and are now married with kids, and are a beautiful, lovely couple and really love each other. And it's not impossible, obviously. I think how you deal with communications, as you're asking, is really how you deal with communications if you were to see each other every day. I think it's the same thing. Again, we don't have experience in this, but it's the same thing, I believe. I feel like it's important to see each other too, making an effort to see. But if you really, really, really can't, try to speak with each other the most you can, not forgetting. And always like set a priority. For example, go every day talking to your partner if that works for you and if that's something that they need. Like, what is it that the other person needs? That's something you can communicate. It always, I feel like it falls back in needs. Like,
Of course.
does your partner need to talk to you every day? Or if it's not the case for you, but it is the case for the other, you need to compromise, right? So just communicate with each other how you feel and what the other person needs. I feel like that's the most important.
So it sounds like you still have to. Sorry, I was just gonna say.
Go ahead.
Whether you are together every day physically or it's virtual, online, especially with FaceTime today, it's like a long distance relationship today is different from like say 20 years ago.
Oh yeah.
But with that said, the needs are still there, and you still need to set up your boundaries and your rules and your needs. When you're not seeing each other physically all the time, needs are still there, and so you need to be very clear about your needs, and you're still setting up the things you do for each other, and there's still some kind of sex life, I'm assuming, even though you're not together physically,
Yeah.
So all that has to be also established clearly. And the other thing too is, if you're in a long distance relationship, this is true even when you're not in a long distance, but when you are, you have to have a clear sense of purpose and a clear goal. Because if you're in a long distance relationship, I'm guessing that ultimately you want to end up together physically, whether it's getting married or living together in a specific country, right? So whether that's somewhere in North America or somewhere in Lebanon, your ultimate goal is to be with each other. That's why you are sacrificing and accepting the current situation of being in a long distance, right? But if you're both not going anywhere with it, if you don't have a clear plan, then this feels like the long distance.
Where's it
It's
going?
not a relationship, right?
Yeah.
You're just both going on a walk on one side and going on a walk with each other and encountering each other here and there, right? So, and that changes things a lot, I think, when you have a clear goal.
Yeah.
We will not be physically together for a year. You can accept that if you know why.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, I'm in a situation now where it could be studies, it could be this. I'm trying to get my citizenship or whatever, or I'm trying to get a visa, whatever. So, therefore, I will work with you and we will set up this plan. That changes things. And I'll see you once every 2 months, for example. So having a goal, a plan, I think is the definitive part of a long distance relationship.
Yeah. It makes it easier too, because it's not forever.
Exactly.
And it's like, what to expect.
That's it.
Like, we haven't lived together for 3 years. We were dating for 3 years. We were together for 2 years, but we haven't lived together until we got married. So for us, it's exactly what you said. We had a plan. We had a goal. We knew it wasn't forever. And we knew that living together and getting married together was going to be life-changing in the most positive way, which was the case. When you talk your goals and your mission and do things together and see it in the future, it changes the whole game. The whole relationship is different even.
Focus. You really have to have a sense of focus. It really changes everything. And the focus you have is how your reality materializes. That's the reality you build. Your marriage or your relationship is any reality like another. Any dream you have, you materialize it or manifest it through your focus.
Yeah.
And when you're in a long distance relationship, you better be fucking focused.
Yeah. And why are you together?
It's exactly it.
Why are you together?
What is the value of your relationship? I'm guessing that if you're with this person who is thousands of kilometers away, there is some serious value to your relationship for you to accept that sacrifice.
Definitely.
There are people who are married and one is a soldier. They have to be stationed in another country, for example, for months, and there's kids. That's a huge sacrifice.
Yeah.
And they're still together and the person isn't cheating or whatever. It means that their sense of needs and the value of the relationship is clear.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, this is where you start to feel like you're neglected and the person can cheat, for example, because there's a rift, right? You're not clear and focused in your plans and so on.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah.
Awesome. So guys, again, if there's anybody who wants to send their stories or questions, relationship questions, thoughts, whatever it is, send it to riseprojects.com/heartheaded. That's RYZE projects.com
Yes.
/heartheaded without the hyphen. You want to wrap it up?
We can wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. All right. Thank you guys for listening and supporting us as usual. Sign up to our newsletter to stay up to date with our podcast and all of our announcements. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, and directly on our website, riseprojects.com, RYZE projects.com. And with that said,
Stay awesome.
we love you. We love you that was like a
Wow.
that was like a wow.
Suave.
We really love you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now. Maybe I should nap.